I've been sitting here staring at this thing recording me for probably the last 5 or 6 minutes. Today, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling emotionally dysregulated. I'm feeling tired and pissed off. Over the past few days of talking with dozens of men, hundreds of comments, and hearing hundreds of stories of inequality, of the system, police, judges, and ex-partners fucking men over. It's horrible. So I'm a little bit tired. But anyway, let's get into Q&A Thursday. Welcome to another episode of the R.Y.S.E podcast. I'm Dave, and in today's Q&A Thursday, like I was saying, I'm a little bit dysregulated right now, so I want to get through these questions to the best of my ability, and hopefully I don't go off on a bit of a rant. Welcome to the R.Y.S.E podcast, a place where men just like you learn to raise your standards everywhere. Welcome to another episode of the R.Y.S.E podcast. I'm Dave, and in this one being Q&A Thursday, we're going to answer a couple of questions. I'm going to do the best of my ability to not go off on a rant and to not be pissed off because, like I said at the start of this, I'm a little bit emotionally dysregulated today after the hundreds of comments and the dozens of interactions that I've had with men in the DMs talking about their experiences and, offering some help and stuff like that to be able to get them back on the right track and get them back into thriving, not just surviving. So, first question. Why does it seem like men seem to be avoiding relationships and choosing to stay single? I'm going to put down into the description the link to that original TikTok that's going well, that's got lots of discussion happening around it. You will see why men are choosing to stay out of relationships. It's abundantly clear. Men and women are divided more than ever, more than in my whole lifetime, which, granted, I'm only 34, so I'm pretty young, and it's horrible. Men and women have been divided against one another. The nuclear family has been divided. They have torn down masculinity and what it means to be a man. They have torn down femininity, femininity and what it means to be a woman. They have destroyed. And when I say they, it's corporations, it's fucking government, it's media, it's all of the problems that we see, all of the problems that everyone is abundantly clear on. Even if you are a denier of what's happening, you can see that there's some pretty fucked up things going on. There's so much division between everyone. It doesn't matter race, creed, culture, religion, politics affiliation, gender, sex, it doesn't matter. Everyone's fucking divided against everyone. That's why it's so important to get your shit under wraps. And actually the second question today is going to do some justice to what I just said there, talking about getting yourself under wraps. Why are men choosing to stay single? Because it's fucking easier. I've been in my relationship with Rachel for 8.5 years now. I am so damn lucky that I have her. So damn lucky. I couldn't fathom what it would be like to go through the ghosting, to go through the, dating apps and, seeing if someone's genuine and just no, flat out no. God forbid anything ever happened to Rach and I would not be doing shit all when it came to the dating scene. I just refuse. So I would probably be one of these men that stayed alone, especially if, hypothetically, Rach were to pass away. God, even thinking about that sucks. Rach were to pass away and I was left as a single father. I wouldn't go out dating. Why would I bother? I have my girls to worry about. Why would I possibly bring another woman into my life that could cause more emotional dysregulation, more upheaval, and potentially more pain? It's just not worth it. So I completely understand why there's men out there that are choosing to stay single, that aren't courting, that aren't going above and beyond, aren't being chivalrous and all these sorts of things when it comes to relationship. That being said, I believe a man is at his best when he's in a committed relationship, a committed, intimate, connected relationship. A man has his ability to release his full sex energy, like it's spoken about in the book Think and Grow Rich. He has the ability to tap into his limitless, unlimited, just holy shit levels of potential because he has a muse at home that is spurring him on, that is animating him, that is giving him the life force, that is allowing him to live his life with purpose and meaning and impact. That's what I believe. So I see both sides. Can you live life happily, healthily, with purpose and meaning and impact and be single? Yeah, absolutely. Can you do it in a relationship? Yeah, absolutely. Are there downsides to both of them? Yeah, absolutely. There's no one clear distinct, definitive rule for which way is right. You make up your own version of wrong and right. You make up your own morals. Yes, we live in a Judeo-Christian presupposition world where everything is kind of built on the foundations of those of morality and what is good and what is bad and what is virtuous. However, you ultimately have free will. Yeah, there's some things that are determined from, your genetics and your predispositions, your hereditary things, also your socioeconomic status and stuff like that. That being said, you can grow out of those. You can change from those. You have free will. You have the ability to choose anything that you want. You have the ability to do, be, have, and experience anything that you want. But it's up to you. You're the one who determines what you want. If you want to be in a relationship, fucking fantastic. I hope you build a bulletproof, amazing, deeply intimate, connected, and also communicative relationship. At the same time, if you want to stay single, power to you, brother. You probably save a hell of a lot of money and have no heartaches and headaches on your problems. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, there's no good or bad to either. The only time you can put good or bad is if you choose to label it that. It's all up to your perspective. If you choose to label something as good, that's up to you. Choose it as bad, that's up to you. Your perception is what you project out into the world. There's this saying, perception is projection or projection is perception. So that which you are internally is what you see in the outside world. So if you see things good or bad, being single good, being in a relationship bad, okay. Is it hurting you? Is it hurting anyone else? No, then it doesn't matter. It's up to you to determine what you want. So when it comes to relationships, you might be better off single. You might be one of those blokes that's a lone wolf and that really loves his own company. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it if you don't think that there's anything wrong with it. All right, let's move on to the next question. I've got to find it. Here it is. Okay. Can you truly understand your own mental state, or are there aspects of your mind that remain hidden to yourself? No. You cannot ever fully understand and integrate all aspects of the mind. Alchemists, philosophers, psychologists, psychonauts, monks, religious scholars have been studying spirituality, so realm of the mind and other, dimensions of the cosmos, for thousands of years. There is so much to learn when it comes to the mind, especially when we start talking about energies, personality types, traits, when it comes to the unconscious, the shadow. There's so much inside of our mind, inside of our psychology that we're blind to, unless you go shining a light on it. However, I've got a light right over there, shining at me right now. If I put my hand up right now, you can see on the wall behind me a shadow moving. Our light, our conscious mind, the moment that we shine light into our subconscious, into the shadow, and we pull it up for inspection, for discrimination in the conscious light, and we observe. We check, we make comparisons. The moment that we observe it out of the shadows in the light, it starts to transform, it starts to change. The moment that we put it back into the shadows, it changes again. The idea behind the shadow and behind the unconscious or subconscious is it wants to stay there. It wants to stay hidden. It doesn't want to be disturbed. It wants to remain in the shadows, behind the scenes, in the autonomic nervous system, managing what it manages. It's there to protect you. That being said, can we do something about it? Absolutely, yes, we can. Can we be aware of absolutely everything? No, we cannot. It's impossible. I've got two books on the desk in front of me here. Archetypes of the Collective Unconscious from Carl Jung and King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. They're talking about archetypal energies. This book here follows on from this book here. This book here in front of me right now, including references and indexes and stuff like that, is 435 pages of probably about size 8 font. All of the archetypes in here are just theories. They're just theories from Carl Jung. Carl Jung followed on from Sigmund Freud, his mentor. He then went his own way when he figured out that a lot of Sigmund Freud's theories on psychology, especially around sexual hang-ups and stuff like that, they were elemental truths, but they weren't grounded in actual truth. Carl Jung actually thought himself somewhat of a very rigorous scientist. He then went on to produce the book called The Red Book, which is him diving into his own psychosis, where he basically became schizophrenic and worked his way out of it. That's a whole other story. Actually, he started having prophecies of World War II and all the atrocities and blood lining the streets and all these sorts of things. Anyway, I digress from that. This one book here, Archetypes in the Collective Unconscious. A book of theories from all of the patients he's ever worked with, from all of his students that worked with him, from all of his offsiders that worked with him, and all the patients that they saw. They created a map. And a map is never what meets the territory. There's actually that famous saying from psychology is the map is not the territory. So think of it this way. As you're navigating through life, you have a map that is like a 1990s Refidex. And for those youngins on here, a Refidex is a book that you used to have to open up and it had, say 200, 300 pages inside of it. And if you wanted to navigate from one aspect, say on the Gold Coast all the way out to Brisbane, you had to go through 43 different pages that had different pieces to, it was like the Goosebumps make your own story books, where on page 1, you wanted to go from Gold Coast, my place in Carrara, up to Brisbane. You had to go all the way up the M1 to page 27. And then so you flip through to page 27 and then you keep going up and it says when you get up to here you need to go to page 93. So you skip through to page 93 and then you need to start heading east, and then so it says go to page 42, and then so you go all the way back. Anyway, what I'm saying is your map is fucking shit. If you haven't got a wide variety of education, of knowledge, and transmuted it and embodied it into wisdom, your map is like that. It's a paper map. However, if you have read things like this, The King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, Think and Grow Rich, like all these other self-help psychological books, and especially textbooks and coursework and all these sorts of things, then you might have an Apple's map. You might have a Google map inside of your mind, and you might be able to match the territory very closely. However, even if you click on satellite view, that satellite view of the map that you're trying to reference on Google Maps is going to be outdated. It's not going to be updated in time. So it's very important that you're constantly doing the work. You're constantly sifting through your unconscious and uprooting presuppositions, bringing them into the light and addressing them and seeing them and discriminating them to see if they go back. And if they can go back, fantastic, but they're going to change. Your unconscious wants to stay that way. It wants to stay unconscious. There's aspects of your psychology, of your behaviors, of your values and belief systems that want to stay in the darkness. They want to stay there. You can never know fully about the human mind. And that's one of my favorite things, because I've got probably another 15 books behind me that I haven't even opened. Maybe a few of them, 10 of them or so, I've read maybe 1 or 2 chapters and become so overwhelmed because of the amount of thoughts that stem from that. All of a sudden, my worldview is here. It's happy, it's in a chest, and it is as it is. I read something new like Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious. All of a sudden, that chest is now open and I'm pulling out shit that I used to think was solid in truth and removing it for something that's new, and I have to try and fit it into that new box. Anytime that you're faced with something new piece of information, new teaching, new learning, you now have to go into your box of knowledge or your box of wisdom and pull out things that are no longer truth anymore. That's exhausting. There is so much for us to learn. There's so much for us to embody. And if you're a nerd like me that loves philosophy and psychology and spirituality and stuff like that, you might get a kick out of it and you might end up with a really well-rounded worldview. If you're not going to give a shit about it. And ultimately, it doesn't matter. There's going to be aspects of your psychology, of your emotions, the way that you think, the way that you act, the way that you feel, that are in your control. And there's going to be so much outside of it. And I think that's enough of a rant on that. I could talk about this shit all day. I love psychology. I love thinking about theories to do with the mind and the way that we think and why we operate and why we do what we do and why we are and all these sorts of things. But that might not be your cup of tea. Have an amazing day. Much love. Take care and look after yourself. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for subscribing and leaving a review. It really helps us out. Until next time, take care and much love.